plain to see our society is facing a real crisis of moral bankruptcy. We have squandered away the good values of yesterday, leaving us with a big debt to pay. Naked corruption has been the order of the day, consuming a cesspool of decadence and decay. We don't care what it takes to satisfy our needs. Like strippers, we're selling ourselves at the altar of greed. Our self-worth has hit rock bottom, reaching an all-time low. We're facing a moral deficit. We need some divine credit to redeem us from this darkness. This thing real serious, it ain't no joke. When I say the country's morally broke, our bank of morals gone down so low. I wonder where we could get some to borrow. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of integrity. How did we reach this place? Tell me, where people are bought like commodity, both selling like hot bread and butter. But in the end it really didn't matter. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of dignity. We are morally bankrupt. Lord, we need a loan to top up. Lord have mercy. Send down person to lift us up. I said to pull us up. I said to bail us out of this moral bankruptcy. Hear me now. Our treasury of moral currency has devalued to the lowest degree. We have lowered the bar, our values have sunk so far. Sometimes I can't recognize who we are. We have become a people dependent on handouts, designed to keep us living from hand to mouth. When I see my people in compromised position, bending over, engaging in all kind of transactions, I say, oh God, everything fall down. All they can on the ground, we alone urgently to restore our humanity, our sense of pride and decency. Hear me now. This thing real serious, it ain't no joke. When I say the country morally broke, our bank of morals gone down so low. I wonder where we could get some to borrow. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of integrity. How did we reach this place? Tell me. The people are bought like commodity, both selling like hot bread and butter. But in the end it really didn't matter. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of dignity. We are morally bankrupt. Lord, we need a loan to top up. Lord have mercy. Send down mercy to lift us up. I said to pull us up. I said to bail us out of this moral bankruptcy. Hear me now. Just can't deny we're in short supply of honorable men and women with integrity. That's why the people invest 5 years of trust in you for the good you can do, Dr. Jew. You have a 5-year loan to repair all the damage left by those who recklessly rape and ravish. You have a moral obligation to stamp out corruption. Otherwise it's more of the same old dirty game. To stop this vicious cycle, we have to hold you accountable. We need leaders with sound character, Morals and values really matter for good governance agenda. Hear me now. This thing real serious, it ain't no joke. When I say the country's morally broke, our bank of morals gone down so low. I wonder where we could get some to borrow. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of integrity. How did we reach this place? Tell me, where people are bought like commodity, both selling like hot bread and butter. But in the end, it really didn't matter. Lord have mercy. We need a loan of dignity. We are morally bankrupt. Lord, we need a loan to top up. Lord have mercy. Send down mercy to lift us up. I said to pull us up. I said to bail us out of this moral bankruptcy. Hear me now, hear me now.
Yeah, songs of the man, the King Astro. That one is called Moral Bankruptcy, and we're definitely dealing with some serious moral bankruptcy here in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm DJ Mauricio, and I'm coming to you live and direct from my bunker here in the Republic of St. Paul, St. Kitts. Yes, you heard it right. The DJ is still here in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, holding those politicians, those bad actors, feet to the fire as usual. And I'm going to drop a little clip here and I'll let you know what is taking place, because I know many of you who might be scrolling through the web right about now and pop into us, run into us and wondering what this podcast is all about. So let me just drop a quick clip and let you know what this podcast is all about.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Mauricio's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Mauricio, every Wednesday evening. Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel DJ Mauricio. Log on.
Yes, you heard it right. The DJ is here each and every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. These days we come a bit early due to some issues with the Facebook app going live at 6 publicly. So what we do, we drop it a bit early so that everyone can be accommodated at 6 p.m. Right about I'm going to drop this clip where one of our icons, the man himself, Dr. Garfield Alexander, gave his predictions of what's going to take place in the upcoming general elections. And right after that, we're going to jump into a guest I have online with me this evening.
DJ Mauricio, I don't want you guys to take your eyes off him. Remember, he's been around for some time. Let's go back to COVID and lockdowns. The gentleman came in, was locked down in quarantine, and then realized the total hypocrisy, tyranny, and oppression of the then administration during our most horriblest time. Spoke out. Not only spoke out, became an activist. And then you know what he did? Organize and centralize. And he never stopped organizing and centralizing until Timothy was gone. I don't even want to talk about the involvement he had before and the Douglas administration and the Harris. We ain't gonna talk about that. I'm just talking that during COVID, that man, both on this front, locally and in the US, waged war against tyranny and oppression. One simple man, a DJ as he calls himself. He never called himself an engineer or anything else. just a DJ, because he understands the power of voice. And not just voice, autonomous, independent, honest, transparent voice always wins in the end. So it could be persons with unlimited power and unlimited money. He somehow always becomes the David against the Goliaths. Be careful with him. Be kind to him. Watch him. Because trust me, he's going to triumph in the end again.
Yes, you heard that prediction from the man himself, Dr. Garfield Alexander. Now, let's take a quick run across to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Let me see what my boy, Brother Malvern Gums of the Express Band have to say about the DJ this evening.
Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're listening to DJ Marisha, playing you the best in Caribbean music.
You got that.
Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're locked into DJ Marisha. Keep it locked.
Keep it locked right there, my good people. And we're going to kick off this afternoon with the Honorable G.A. Dwyer Astafan commentary as usual for today, Wednesday, 26 November 2025. Final commentary for November. So before we get into Dwyer, I want to take the time out to big up the good people there. Island Purified Water, Main Street, Newton Ground, St. Kitts. The man, Brother Powell and his team, the man Scatter. Want to thank you for keeping the DJ hydrated whenever I'm in the Federation. And I also want to let the folks know you support businesses that support you. The Island Purified Water team has been around for some years and has been taking care of every nick and cranny of our communities. So keep supporting the Island Purified Water. I also want to take this time out to big up my boy there, Brother James Sadler, Peter Sadler, Sadler Funeral Home there at Main Street, Sandy Point, St. Kitts. I asked Peter to send me his contact numbers for the home so that I can give him a little plug, because Peter right now on Island, he's doing a lot of renovation there. The home is coming along beautifully. I passed through there, see him dazzling up some casket and some coffin and this kind of thing. I don't know what plans Peter have, but I would hope that Peter don't have any plans for me, because I already told him back in 92, you know, his old man took care of my mother when she passed and did a very good job with her. So definitely anything happened to the DJ, nobody fight over the DJ body, because Sadler Funeral Home is already contracted for the DJ. So you guys, if you know you want the DJ, don't try come for the DJ, because whatever you all do to the DJ, Sadler Funeral Home will take care of that. So my boy Peter, give me a message here, give me the phone numbers, let me drop them to the folks. One thing about Sadler Funeral Home, if you know you don't want to stay locked in, do not check in there, because once you check into Sadler Funeral Home, they're going to take care of you, and you're not going to want to leave. You're not leaving. They're going to keep you there and put you to rest comfortably. They're going to nice you up, dazzle you up, pretty you up, male or female, and they're going to give you a very lovely, comfortable casket, coffin, whatever your choice, whatever your pocket need. That is what my boy Peter will give you. Now let's take a quick listen to my boy J. Dwyer Astafan commentary for today. Again, Wednesday, 26 November 2025.
Greetings. It's now just a matter of days before the critical budget debates in Charlestown and Bastia take place. I pray that the presentations by the Minister of Finance in Nevis and the Minister of Finance in Bastia will be relatively short in length, but long in content. Remember, we stand to speak. We speak to be understood. Then we sit to be appreciated. So, Mr. Prime Minister especially, please, no more 5-hour marathons. And to all members, I respectfully and humbly urge discipline, decorum, and responsible, honest, issues-based, country-above-self debate. Among the matters which I hope will feature prominently in the debates is the proposed Destiny Special Zone project, which is one of the most generationally consequential projects ever proposed in this country. I believe that what is said or what is not said, and how parliamentarians conduct themselves in debating this and other matters, could play a key role in how people vote in the upcoming elections, both island elections in Nevis and federal elections in both islands. I must say that the more I hear about this special zone project, the more questions arise. Let me start with the Zoom meeting which the leader of the Destiny Group, a man called Mr. Olivier Janssens, held with a group of Nevisians on November 16th. I'm told that an edited version of it was published as part, I presume, of the developers' effort to win public support, and that's okay. An edited version to tidy and tighten it, or an edited version to remove substantial material, which one is it? Because if it is to tidy and tighten it, I understand. But if it is to remove substantive material, then that raises a question for me. I don't know. Maybe somebody can answer. Here are some of the things that was said in that meeting. After some introductory remarks, the female moderator, probably an employee or agent of Mr. Janssens, opened the floor for attendees to question him. But first she told the attendees that she would give them back their phones. Why did she take the phones from them in the first place? Why didn't she ask them to put their phones on silent mode or turn them off? There has to be a reason for her asking them to hand over their phones. That is, if I understood what she said correctly. What would have transpired while the attendees were not in possession of their phones? Were the attendees carefully selected persons? Was this an orchestrated event? I hope not. I'm just asking. Remember, I told you that the more I hear, the more questions arise. Mr. Johnson said that his group had been working on this project for years. He said that they had been taking options on people's land for a long time. He said that people did not know what use their lands would be put to, and that only very recently did the Nevis Island administration know about it. Well, why all of this secrecy? His explanation did not make much sense to me. How can all of this activity, after all, take place in a tiny island for years, and the leadership of the country and the people of the country not know about it? I'm having problems with comments like this. Hard to swallow. Why did the people of Nevis and St. Kitts not get informed and engaged long ago rather than now? Why did he not want us to know? He went on to say that no contract has been signed with the government, and when that happens, it has to be sent to Parliament to be approved. He also said that negotiations are at a very advanced stage and that he prefers that the deal be completed before January. Well, January is 34 or 35 days away. All of these years, nobody knowing anything, we're not being fully informed, but now he's in a rush to get it done. This is too important to rush. We have a saying here, we all know it, hurry dog, eat rock corn. Well, we don't want to do that. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that him pushing for this deal to be closed before January, do you feel that his push is being presumptuous and even arrogant? Does he expect, or is he demanding that we, the people of this country, support and swallow what he's saying within the next 36 days? Swallow a project of which we know so little, and a project which has such a substantive, earth-shattering potential for us. Who told him to keep it a secret from the people for so long? In this context, was the Zoom meeting to which I'm referring just a formality, therefore just going through the motions? Decisions already made for and on behalf of the people of this country? Has a poll been done? Do we have enough information for a proper poll to be done, to get a feel of what the people think about this? Hurry dog, eat rock on. You can't start late, keep things quiet, and then tell us you're in a hurry. We're not buying that. Then he went on to say that the deal could have been done with the NIA and the federal government without the need to go to Parliament and pass an act. Maybe so. But then there would have been very grave consequences, especially with the people finding out slowly and almost unwillingly. And the suggestion that passing an act was a cautionary step in the interest of transparency and in the interest of the people of the country is ridiculous. It is also arrogant and out of order. We are not being done any favors. The act, in my opinion, the way it is structured, is dangerous for the people of this country, especially if we, like Mr. Jansen, do not place much faith in politicians. He said he doesn't trust them. In reply to a question, he stated that his group is not taking land from the Visions, and they are offering persons from whom they buy land that their destiny can get those same persons land outside of the zone. Buy your land, put it in a zone, and offer your land outside the zone. Okay. Some people might prefer that. Some people might prefer cash, but when you get the cash and you have no land, you have nothing. How would that whole system work? Land swaps and so. I mean, this could take forever to settle. Of course, he said that locals would be free to buy land in the zone. And in relation to housing, he said that affordable housing would be built in the zone in the future. In the future when? And affordable for who? Do you think they're going to build an upmarket community and put low-income housing in there? Unless they're going to build low-income housing for the people who don't want to work for them 24/7. Maybe bringing in Bangladeshis and Filipinos and so. And the odd petition on the vision. But there's a lot of nice talk. What's behind the nice talk? We'll find out. How many people in Nevis can afford to buy into that zone? Tell me. Why did none of the attendees to that Zoom meeting ask him to explain what he meant by affordable housing and for whom? There is so much wrong with what this guy is saying. I wouldn't even want to start. This meeting should have been held on a cattle farm because there was so much BS flying around. Then he spoke about the courts and referred to a similar project in Dubai, which he says has its own courts. He said they will have their own efficient court system. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said that people can enter our national and regional court system if they choose to opt out of the zone court system. What court system? How will that work? Has the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, has the Eastern Caribbean Bar, has the local bar been consulted in such a proposal? This is a complicated matter. But he offered no mechanics as to how it would work. And we are no more aware. He said that they will always have to abide by the actions of the DPP, but nothing more. Again, no mechanics. What does that mean? How will it work? This is serious. As we say, a lot of fraud, but no mobby. What about civil law matters? No mention of it, no details, but he is in a rush to have the agreement signed within the next 36 days. And so much unknown. And I believe a lot unknown by him too. I don't think they're seeing the full picture of all of the nuances and complexities that have to be addressed. Very difficult. Will destiny have the power to banish people from the zone? And if so, where will those people go? And under what authority can banish people? An attendee asked about heritage material on the site, stating that there were about 8 estates there. Mr. Johnson's reply was sketchy, troublingly sketchy. It seems that his people have not done sufficient research on the heritage, qualities, and resources in that area. Regarding tourism impacts, he mentioned the name of an entity called Oxford Technotics, or Oxford something else. But the name Oxford comes out. And he said that Oxford had researched and had come up with an excellent revenue projection and all that would be added to the GDP and all this nice stuff. But who is Oxford? He also said that that report has been published. To whom? Where is it? He said that he had enough to fund the project, but he would also be using CBI applicants' money to develop it. And he suggested that destiny will not be another white elephant. All nice talk, cattle farm talk. He also said that a certain percentage of the profits would go to the Nevis Island administration and to a sovereign fund. But half of the money to the Nevis Island administration would be spent only as determined and agreed by destiny. So you do an agreement with a government or anybody else, but with a government. The agreement says you have to pay them X amount of money. Now the money from the profits, and we'll get to that. We have to pay you X amount of dollars. But half of that X, we will decide how you spend it, because we don't want the government to squander money. Who are you to tell the government that? To do their money. Let the voters do that. If they don't like how the government is spending, fire them. Arrogant, out of order. This is how people treat us when we allow them to do so. Now here's a man doing a deal with a sovereign state and telling citizens of that country that he will not allow the government to spend the government's money that it has under contract with his project. You think he could tell Trump that? Or Hammer? Or Macron? Or Traore? We need to put on some pants. Our concerns about sovereignty issues, influence issues, power issues are only deepened when we hear comments like this from these developers who say they have all the money that is needed, but they will use other people's money and tell you how to spend yours. You all seeing what I'm seeing? Am I seeing a specter or am I being realistic? What are you seeing? But here is a problem with all this money talk, You remember I told you they said they're going to share the profits with the government. Money for hospital, money for students. Lovely, nice story. That will come from the profits. But suppose they don't declare profit. Suppose they never have a profit. Suppose they have consultancy fees. They have to pay money upgrading, renewing, maintaining, and all kind of thing like that. Mind you, they're living higher off the hog, but the business is not making a profit. That means all of this nice money that blinding some of us to the reality, to the harsh reality and the harsh possibilities, maybe even harsh probabilities. That's just talk, cattle farm talk, BS. I'm not saying that a project cannot be done and cannot succeed, but a project of this proportion cannot proceed unless the people of the country are fully aware of it in all of its ramifications and consensually supportive of it. And with regard to this, he said, just for transparency purposes, the government is free to audit the zone's accounts. And if the government audits the zone's accounts and doesn't like what it sees, what the government gonna do? The horse already bolted, you know. The development is already there. What are they gonna do? Run them? And all of them gonna be citizens? Run them where? That time you can't do anything. The horse has bolted. Look, I am willing to be a believer, but I'm nowhere close to being a believer because I'm so busy ducking and dodging from all of this BS that is flying around. Thank you.
I think.
So, my good people, that is Brother J.A. Dwyer Astafan commentary for today, Wednesday, 26 November. And I got to give the King Dwyer credit. This is his fifth commentary on this matter. So you must understand how serious this matter is to individuals such as Dwyer. And when Dwyer going to take this deep dive, there must be a cause for concern. I don't understand what's going on in the Premier's head and his choir, the Prime Minister head and his AG and their choirs. But from July 5th, that town hall meeting in Nevis, when that young lady, Colin Lawrence, asked the Premier about the rumor she was hearing, and the Premier had her well told her off and tell her to go and read her Bible. I think at that time what the Premier weren't aware of is that the young lady knew exactly what she was speaking about because apparently she had a conversation with the Premier wife as a realtor. So she knew exactly what she was speaking about, but she never broke that to the Premier. But since then to now, my good people, as I've said then, and I will continue to say, based on what transpired at that meeting where the Premier denied knowing anything about this project, and a couple days later, if not a week later, this same matter ended up in the federal parliament for as a bill, and eventually on the 11th of August of 2025, it got its second and third reading, and sometime in August became an act, which was gazetted and now is a law. The DJ have said then, the DJ is saying no, time to repeal that bill, that act. Whoever was the actor in that parliament, whether it was the Premier or whether it was the Prime Minister, the AG, whoever the actors were, they are not very good actors because everybody has told on themselves. Everybody denied their role, not knowing who generated the bill, who crafted the bill, where it started, whose idea it was. Nobody seems to know. But the bill ended up in the federal parliament. And after the pushback by our citizens, and I want to give credit to our good citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis that have stood to the fight, who stood up and fighting, the green team over there at Nevis. I said it last week, and I want to give credit to its due. The green team there, led by Sister Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge, leader of the NRP, her deputy Patricia Bartlett, and I would call Jeff Pemberton the second deputy, because Jeff have been fighting this fight with me from the one before even the NRP team even started speaking publicly. So, Brother Jeff Pemberton, big up yourself. Also want to big up the man Tulu, who has taken the ride across the waters to St. Kitts and our awareness march. That we've done 3 marches now. There was one on the 26th of September. There was one on the 31st of October, and there was a third one last Friday on the 21st. And I got to give Tulu credit. He has been consistent. He has been there at all and basically delivered. There's also a march scheduled for the 19th, sorry, of December. Friday, the 19th of December, we definitely will be hitting the streets again, providing that we don't get turned off the road by the police. The police has been very cooperative in terms of giving the citizens their right to hear their voice, to hear their voice. I want to give enough respect to the high command there, the man, Brother Sutton, Commissioner Sutton, and his able team of police officers who have been accommodating this event, trying to keep the matters in the air. So my good people, and our end here in St. Kitts Nevis, we have the Prime Minister, who was the individual who went out and gave life to this bill. The Prime Minister was the one that presented this bill. So basically, he gave life to the bill. And as a result, he gave the close-up, the wrap-up on that bill, and tried to take away himself, say, don't mix him up with Mavis. But the Prime Minister is to blame, because according to the Prime Minister these days, when he's making his rounds, he said he don't know nothing about the Destiny Project. He have not seen anything of the Destiny Project. But without this SSZ bill that he presented, without this act coming to law, there would be no Destiny Project. So the Prime Minister have to take full responsibility. And I realize that he's very good. I'm very disappointed in him. He's very good at trying to take credit, even though when it's not due to him. But when he screw up, he like when the fowl eat shit and try to wipe him out, go in the corner to hide. Mr. Prime Minister, stand up and do the right thing. Repeal that bill. Repeal that act. And let's move forward. Because the more we hear about this Destiny Project, this Olivia gentleman, whatever it is, I don't know the gentleman, I have not really got caught up in the overall project. But what starts wrong in the morning can't come good evening. So I'm going to leave that to the people, whether or not they want to join forces with the Citizens Empowerment Coalition on the 19th of December and make that final alarm for 2025, or if they're going to let you guys go through and approve this project. So I'm going to drop a few clips now. I have a guest with me this evening, the return of Brother Oakland Benter from Underground, been busy doing some work there. He's going to give some updates and stuff like that. But there's also some fakers online. I got to talk to my boy there this evening, my boy Desmond Claxton, aka the King Chubby. And I don't want to call her queen this evening, but she acts like a queen when she wants. She's on social media creating a lot of mess with his fake profiles and fake this and fake that. Desmond, you and I go a long way. I know you, you know me. Business-wise, musically, we have mad respect for each other. Do not let politics get the better of you. Do not let politics get between us. If you're going to continue down that road, I'm going to treat you like the queen that you are. So I'm giving you fair warning. Focus on the issues. I don't know the last time you was in the Federation, last time you come home for culture, because I know that you and Ginger write a whole bunch of songs, went into the recording studios, pay for them, and those songs never made it to the airways, never been released. You wrote a song about the late Vance Emery several years ago. Every year, you got to change the lyrics because things change. Well, Vance is dead now, so I do not know what you're going to do with that song. But the DJ do not want to take his attention from these matters of importance to deal with you. So let the DJ focus on the matters currently in the Federation that is affecting us. The Regiel Francis matter down at the New Guinea, the folks over at Fires Bay with this hotel business, the Glen Barrow, and a whole host of other things that we could talk about. The economy, the prison project that is there, And we're going to get into all of that this afternoon. 2 hours is not enough for me to accomplish everything we have to speak about, but I'm going to put in as much information as I can. So with that, I'm going to go from the recent to the latter. So I'm going to kick off this clip with the round table that, in my view, was a square table yesterday with Prime Minister Joe. Continue to be deceitful, trying to deceive the people of our beloved federation. But because I have first-hand experience, because I was in the belly of the beast, I understand these guys. I understand what they're doing. So I can see their lies. From the time you leave their lips or leave their tongue, I can see their lies. I can fact check them on the spot. So I'm going to drop these clips. I'm going to give my comments, and we're going to have a good conversation this afternoon. My responsibility here that I give myself, without pay, by the way, is just to bring the information, bring awareness. If you guys want to play the ass and don't listen to the DJ that is giving you the right information and take the word of these corrupt actors, that is on you. No one going to say that I never did my part. I am going to continue to do my part until such time that the bell is rung. But until such time, let's kick off clip number 1.
And you're allowed 2 questions at a time. Give others a chance to ask their questions. And if time permits, then we can always throw in more questions. Floor is open.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister.
Afternoon, Mr.
Welcome back to The Rock, as I say.
Welcome back as well. Haven't seen you in a while.
Okay. Now, we are now approaching the end of the year, the end of the fiscal year. And I was wondering if you can give us your feedback on where we are economically and fiscally. What condition is what's the state of condition of our country? And I might as well tag this on because people are asking me, at least some people are asking me, whether or not the government will be paying a double salary at the end of this year. So perhaps you can address those 2 things. Then with regards to destiny, based on the comments that have been circulating, some comments are obviously political, but others are there are other people who are expressing genuine concern about the SSC legislation. So based on what you've heard, what you've been hearing coming out of the various community consultations, does your government have any intention of amending the SSC as it is to make it tighter and perhaps less prone to opportunities of misinterpretation? If you can comment on those 2 matters.
Thank you, Mr. Bat. I think those were 2 fair questions. I can start with the last question first. You talk about destiny. Let me say that the SSC is a piece of legislation that was passed in the federal parliament. It, of course, was put out in circulation before it was passed. It was sent to members of parliament to review it so that they can prepare to come to parliament to comment on it. And I must reiterate that on the opposition side, persons who are now talking had nothing to say. To me, that was a dereliction of their, I would say, responsibility in the parliament. If you choose not to talk on it, you choose not to talk. But you cannot refuse to talk in parliament or say nothing, and then after parliament, you have a whole lot of things to say. And so I don't take those politicians seriously. For them, it is just a matter of petty politics and not serious discourse on a fundamental piece of legislation. I wanted to say that. But to get to your point, Mr. Bat, you said with respect to the legislation and the genuine concerns of citizens. And that is why I held a town hall meeting, because I will never, ever disregard our citizens' concern about anything. I take it very seriously. So I separate our genuine concerning citizens from politicians who are playing petty politics. So their side, I'm talking directly to our people who have genuine concern. And so I will say to them that I've said before, and I'm very serious about this, that the legislation was set up so that any major development that can affect us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, or serious questions would be asked, that they must pass through Parliament. We have had major developments where there have been many discussions, and not one of them passed through Parliament. The people only hear about of an agreement after. Where was the meaningful discussion? For example, you had Four Seasons. I mean, Four Seasons is an excellent business, but was the agreement discussed in Parliament? The people hear about it, I can say, after. That the cabinet agreed to something and some sort of development will take place. But where was the openness and transparency? But I will say that the Four Seasons is an excellent business here in our federation. And so this SSD legislation is to make sure that all of these things must come to Parliament. So this is really an advancement in our whole governance structure when it comes to transparency. So this is a very transparent way. If I had not brought this piece of legislation to Parliament, whatever project that we are discussing or the people are discussing at this particular time would have been implemented without the people understanding. But because of the legislation, they have to see it. They have to even see the agreement before anything is implemented. And I'm very, very proud of that. And those who look at this objectively would recognize that that is the intention. And I always said, if there are opportunities to tighten it, I would tighten it. And if there are opportunities to amend it, I will amend it to make it tighter. I hear some political people talking about repeal. These are people who want to go back to the dark days of significant, large agreements taking place in a back room in a cabinet session. I am not going back there. These things must be in the open so that we can have the lively debate that we are having now. When I hear the debate about the SSZ and so forth, I feel good. And the reason why I feel good is that I say that the objective has been, I would say, derived, has been reached, has been accomplished. It was always the intention that any major development to come to St. Kitts and Nevis, that it would be so open that our people can have significant discussion on it and around it before it is implemented. So this is an advancement of our democracy. And those who look at it objectively would recognize the real intention. I have not hid the intention, I have said it openly. And you ask a very important question, Mr. Bat. Would I amend it? Of course, if I see areas to make it stronger, I will go to Parliament and amend it. Make it stronger, tighter. That is what the whole discussion is about, because it is not written in a way that it cannot be amended. But to take this out, that's irresponsible. I would like to ask those parliamentarians or those politicians who are promoting that. So you want to remove a law that has brought to light any major development that will take place in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's an advancement in our transparency. What they should be saying to me is, Prime Minister, we want to help you to tighten it up, make it stronger, instead of the irresponsible statements about repeal. You know, you can't repeal something that is giving light of day to a major development. So yes, I am definitely open. I have said it and I'll say it again, to make it tighter and tighter so that the questions that are being asked about sovereignty, as I said, and I said in my town hall, that the sovereignty can never be threatened This law is to make sure that that never happens. And if there's any space in there, tighten it up. That our independence can never be affected. And if there's any space in there where that is questioned, and you use some very good words, tighten it up. If there's any question about who would be in charge of the security, the police, the commissioner of police according to the Constitution, nobody else. So if there are questions about that, tighten it up. If there are questions about customs, tighten it up, because customs is who deal with our borders here. We have a Coast Guard, we have customs and border control. We have immigration. There's only one immigration here, one customs here, one police organization here. So nothing at all, and one court system. So nothing at all that affects any of those would be tolerated in any development. And if there's any space in the SSZ that people think there can be a space, well, I will tighten it up. But what the SSZ does, that even if somebody think they're smart and there might be a space, each development has to come individually to Parliament. So the SSZ does not give any development to be established, you know. So you spoke about the destiny. I have not received anything about destiny. But I'll tell you what I'll do if I were to receive something. Destiny has to stand on its own law. If it is passed, and if it is passed, it must say in there, nothing to affect sovereignty, nothing to affect our independence, nothing to affect or subvert the authority of the police, or the customs, or immigration, or the court system, or any system at all, because it must be governed by our Constitution fully. And that separate law will say that. So you can't sneak through any door and look for any light of day. It will say that. But I take your point that I am, as I said before, I will tighten it up where I have to tighten it up, and I will keep looking at it. Let me say, with respect to, you spoke about destiny. I have not received anything as the Prime Minister. As the legislation says, it has to pass to the Parliament in Nevis and then come to the federal to be looked at. And then I will put a committee in place, because the legislation speaks to that, to review it and to inform me and all of these things. So if there's any inkling that our Constitution is going to be affected, destiny can't be passed nowhere. If there's any inkling that our court system would be subverted, destiny can't pass nowhere. If there's anything that the police or immigration or border security or anything to do with our Constitution and the laws that we have in St. Kitts and Nevis will be affronted by this, then it has to be amended. I can't pass. That is what SSC does. SSZ makes sure that nobody could get through the back door like in the past. In the past, things get through the back door, you only hear about them. But SSZ said, come up front. And if you don't pass these things, you can't pass in Parliament. You go back to the drawing board and you fix it. But I'm not going to make that decision by myself. There's a committee that will be put in place to review anything that comes to me, whether it is in St. Kitts or if it comes from Nevis. I am not here to tell Nevis what they can do or not do with their land. Because people have sold their land. I am told that even politicians have sold their land. I am not here to tell Nevis. The Constitution tells me I cannot tell Nevis what to do with its land. But as the Prime Minister, and under our Constitution, the federal law is what governs a number of things. The court, border security, immigration, police, and so forth. And I have to make sure that none of those things is affected by any development, whether in Nevis or St. Kitts. So I want to reassure people, two things will happen. One, I will set up a committee to review any proposed development under the SSZ. So if the destiny is something people are talking about that has not reached me, when that reaches me, if it reaches me, that has to go under that scrutiny. That committee will make sure that the Constitution is not violated in any way. It is like a stop to check and make sure you can't sneak through. What these politicians who are calling for repeal, what they really want is they're hoping that they get into office and they can make backdoor deals and they would never have to be subjected to a piece of legislation like the SSZ before anything major like that is implemented. But that will not happen under this administration that has stood on the side of integrity in public life, transparency, and other aspects of good governance. Good governance means a lot to us. So I just want to reassure people that SSZ is really a protection. SSZ has nothing to do with destiny. SSZ is a law that looks at all major projects that want to come in a particular way. So the destiny is one. You might hear of another one tomorrow and another one here and another one there. What this does is to make sure that whatever the development is that want to come under the, here in St. Kitts and Nevis and comes under the special sustainability zone, that it has to go through vigorous review to ensure that at no point our sovereignty, constitution, independence, or otherwise will be affected. So this...
Mr. Prime Minister, I'm going to put it to you that you're just bad. You're just bad. Deceptive, deceitful, just naturally bad. You're going to sit at that round table with your props, because that's what I look at those folks they're asking questions as. They're props. They're asking very soft questions and just smiling and enjoying the time there as if they were given the questions to ask. But Mr. Prime Minister, I'm not disappointed anymore. I know who you are. I understand what you guys are doing. And it's unfortunate that we got some citizens in our beloved federation. Their little handout is more important to them than the country and the people that are suffering. The red shirts are more important to them than the country and the future generation. And it's really unfortunate, because as we play a couple of clips going forward, all of what you are saying there going to be down the drain. The people will know that you are lying. Mr. Johnson himself have given a different story to what the AG gave, to what you gave, Mr. Prime Minister, to what the Premier gave and everybody gave. Everybody contradicting themselves. Because on just the 5th of July, the Premier did not know what Miss Colleen Lawrence speaking about. She was supposed to go and read her Bible. A couple of days or weeks later, the same thing that this young lady is speaking about ended up in our parliament, presented by you. And nobody knew who drafted that bill, but the bill was presented. The AG don't know who drafted the bill. You don't know who drafted the bill. The Premier don't know who drafted the bill. And while the AG said that the NIA did not have any input in that drafting on Freedom FM radio, during a conversation on the topics with the Premier and Banky and his partner, the Premier acknowledged that his legal team had sight of the draft bill and they gave their input. So who are we to believe? It is alleged that this bill was basically presented by the developers. Something that they pulled from some project in Canada where and they put the thing together and demand what they need. Well, they could demand all they want, you know. But the people of this beloved country is not ready to give up their lands. Is not ready to give up what their foreparents fought for. So, my good people, if the Prime Minister is saying he has no intention of repealing that act, that law, then we the people will have to repeal our vote. They got to go. Simple as that, you know. Even before this SSZ, I knew they got to go. But this SSZ tells me that they all definitely got to go. Because this is about money. It's not about the country or development. This is about putting money in their overseas bank accounts. This is about getting money from these developers for their upcoming campaign. This is as CBI 102. We had the prison project 101. This assess the matter, and this destiny is different to the prison project, and we're going to get into that. Because I would like the Prime Minister to explain to us, based on what Mr. Jensen said, about how the money is going to come about to pay for that bill. And the citizenship by investment that people will have to pay for their citizenship, and that money will invest in developing that area. It's another CBI stunt. You hear me right? It's another CBI stunt. That's what the Guyanese will tell you. Stop trying to blow smoke off the people's backside, because the DJ not going to fall for it, and the DJ going to break it down raw, that they could understand it. It is alleged, Mr. Prime Minister, that you already approved some 10,000 shares or 10,000 files to this project, this Destiny project that you say you haven't seen. You have not seen it. You have not heard of it. Well, you heard of it, but you have not seen the proposal, but you already prepare to give up the people's patrimony. Again, Mr. Prime Minister, it's not too long ago, I supported you when you came on this podcast and presented a gentleman from Trinidad who's supposed to build some 2,400 smart homes in your first term in office. 600 homes per year over the next couple of years. This is your fourth year in office in a 5-year term, Mr. Prime Minister. Your Deputy Prime Minister, the failed Deputy Prime Minister, the fake Deputy Prime Minister, Jeffrey Handley, both of you came before the people and you said these smart homes, 2,400 homes, is revolutionary. How many people are going to get homes? Hurricane proof. How can I promise you I'll give the people, you know? And all we're getting is stories, no facts. This morning, I understand that there was some seizure notice served on the gentleman's property and equipment. He's nowhere to be found for months. Out of the 2,400 homes that this gentleman should have built, I know there's one in Canary. I went and I saw it when it started and I saw it when it complete, and you gave it to someone. I understand. I understand the individual that is living in that home did not have to pay a dime. It was given to that individual. I do not know how the process went, how that person was selected, but I wish them well. I understand there's a second one in Newtown someplace. I'm still looking for it. The bottom line is, since you guys got into office and all of these promises that you all give us in 22, you guys have done much worse than the former Team Unity administration. And the people that support a Labour Party, our Labour administration, our friend, our family of yours, Mr. Prime Minister, they have to acknowledge that you're not ready. You're not ready. As Ian Patchy said some night ago on his podcast, show me a liar and I show you a thief. There's a lot of actors, bad actors. You say it in Parliament. You know who they are. Because some of them are sitting right there next to you. Some of them are sitting right in your cabinet. While citizens are struggling in this our beloved federation. Struggling. You guys continue to ignore the needs of the people that you was elected to serve. And you're building bridge in Africa, Taiwan, the Middle East, the USA, wherever. But I'm going to continue to drop the clips, Mr. Prime Minister. Like I said, this evening, I cannot do everything that needs to get done. So I'm going to just drop the clips and keep educating the people and the situation that we are. Clip number 2 is from the same round table. So let's listen to the Prime Minister again with his babbling.
Want to come under here in St. Kitts and Nevis and comes under the special sustainability zone, that it has to go through vigorous review to ensure that at no point our sovereignty, constitution, independence, or otherwise would be affected. So this talk of state within a state, to me, is just what it is, talk. I will say this has put us in the best situation ever, because had it not been for the SSZ, projects can be implemented and you only hear about them after. This SSZ has made sure that they must come to the front door that all our people can see and let our people engage on it. So I'm happy with respect to that. With respect to economics and the fiscal position, let me say what I've always said, is that part of the failure of the last administration was to bring our country to depend so heavily on the CBI program. You cannot allow your country ever, as far as possible, to depend on one sector, especially a sector over which you don't have a lot of control. That was a significant error. And if you ask me, for making an error like that, those parties should not see the light of day again. No real efforts were made to diversify our economy. Mr. White, you remember? In 2022, when they refused to open up the country so that tourism can get back on its feet, we are lagging behind in tourism. Only this year, we are projected to catch up, because they would not open up the country, because they wanted to hold a next election under COVID restrictions to give them an unfair advantage again. That was a fact. And that is why I said to them, under no circumstances, me being the leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will agree to any elections under any COVID restrictions. I told them that. And as soon as they open up the country, we know what the results were. But I'm simply saying that they were not serious about tourism. All the other countries rebounded very quickly when it came to tourism and the economy, because they opened up early. We should have opened up since May of 2022. When I got into office in August of 2022, the country was still closed. I remember that meeting I had with the health team, including the CMO and the then medical chief of staff and others. And I said, show me the data, where the data says that St. Kitts and Nevis must be closed down. The data said what I knew the data would say, because I've been saying it on the campaign trail, that we needed to open up the country and we were not at risk. The country should have been opened up at least since May of 2022, which would have given a significant boost to our tourism. Instead, we stayed closed down until August, so we couldn't get into the itinerary of many of these cruise ships and tourist businesses and so forth for the 2022-2023. And that is why we lagged behind. And only just now we are recovering under the leadership in the tourism sector of the Honorable Marsha Henderson. That hurt our economy bad. That cost us tens of millions of dollars. Tens of millions of dollars. Nonetheless, we move forward. The other thing is, almost all of the other sectors were crippled. And the only thing we were depending on is CBI inflows. CBI inflows and no diversification. That is why we have taken the position that we must diversify the economy. So what are we doing? Look at the areas. We're developing the energy sector. We're developing water, IT, healthcare, construction, expanding agriculture, which I can speak to even more, expanding even tourism, strengthening CBI so that it can be as strong and stable as possible. And so when you look at the Sustainable Island State Agenda, there are 7 pillars, and these, of course, will give us the opportunity to diversify. So how do I feel going in? Good. Why? Because we are seeing all of our plans to build a new economy, a diversified economy that we call SEED, would now become a reality.
So many good people, again, that's the Prime Minister babbling, trying to be deceitful to those poor journalists that sits there for whatever reason. I don't know why they sit there and just smile and laugh with him and whatever, because basically, had I been in that room, it'll be a different conversation. And I want to thank those citizens out there at home and abroad that feels that I should be in that room and try and get some real answers from the Prime Minister. I guarantee you, if I get into that room, that square table that he has there will definitely become a round table, because we're going to go for a few rounds. Now, as you folks know, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So there's some conversation on the Ian Patches Straight Talk show over the past couple of days. There's some emailers and there's some inputs, and there's even a clip with the gentleman himself telling our good people that after the town hall on August 5th, 2025, where the Prime Minister said he don't know what the young lady Colin Lawrence is talking about. With the pressure from the general public now, this gentleman came out of his cage, wherever he was, looked like the groundhog, and telling the citizens that he's expecting to get a signed agreement for his project on Nevis, the Destiny project, before the end of the year. That is the deadline he's putting on our gullible leaders. So let's take a listen to these next couple of clips and the conversation continues. Straight up with Ian Patches Library.
This what happened on SSZ Zone is that Mark Brantley knows about this since 2021. His wife was going around trying to ask the landowners to buy their lands. But you see, Mark could not get it work under Timothy. So he had to mash up the unity government so he could get it work under Drew. I heard that story myself. Patches, I would like Mr. Marisha, now that he has been qualified as a journalist, to attend press conferences and roundtable discussion put on by the Prime Minister. It would be very interesting to hear the DJ poking some hard questions on Drew, and at the same time teaching our local journalists how to get brave to ask the Prime Minister hard questions, because these softy questions they're asking Drew is a big joke. Reads this email.
Yes, and that is what I heard the man Ian Patches Library say some night ago, and I laughed to myself. I am still awaiting my rotation when I would get my call from the leader of the Journalists Association of St. Kitts Nevis, or the Media Association of St. Kitts Nevis. I think every journalist should have the opportunity to attend these events. So as a duly registered, paid up my fees, my membership fees, to be a part of this team, I look forward to the opportunity when I am invited to those forums to get down and dance, the real dance. Let's continue with Brother Ian Patches Library.
Yes. He talks about seed money, my straight dog family.
All the rumors that we already have a contract signed is completely false. So we're still negotiating with the government. We are in advanced negotiations, so we made it pretty far, but that might still take, I don't know how long, a couple of weeks, or hopefully sooner. I definitely don't want to have this go past New Year if we can, but we'll see where we end up.
Well, let's not be fooled, my straight dog family.
From what I have read online, I can see that you are a crypto billionaire or a cash billionaire. I'm not too sure, but my question is, with a project of this magnitude, where is the funding coming from?
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you. Good question too. I won't go into specifics about my net worth. I think it's always overstated, right? I can tell you that I have enough to fund this project. And like any project that's proper residential, you work through a combination of seed capital, where you fund the first phase of that. Then you will start taking deposits or payments for the units, and that will help contribute building it. And we will abide by strict rules that we cannot spend any money ourselves and take it away, because I know in the past there were some pyramid schemes where you start building a project and then you wait to sell the next units and you take the money already, and We will have strict accounting standards that can never happen. We will also be very transparent about that. But yeah, what we basically need is the seed capital to get to the phase where, and I already invested a lot of money to get to where we are today, right?
But my Stray Dog family, yes, his net worth is overstated. He's not a billionaire. But if this project in its form is not stopped, he will make billions. The Chamber has spoken, the Bar Association has spoken, and the Hotel and Tourism Association have spoken. And we must commend, as I close again, and thank patriotic minds like Charles Wilkin Casey, Gada, Gerald Anthony Dwyer Astafan, Sam Conda, DJ Marishaw, Concy Mitchum, Dr. Kelvin Daly, and Carlisle Powell is the name I should have had all night. Carlisle Powell. A lady, Miss Lawrence, Janice Hodge, Daniel Hodge, Timothy Harris, and divisions, all divisions, and petitions too, who recognize the importance of the land. Let this man stay in Belgium.
Yes, I do have a Belgian passport, right? I actually have thought many times already to give that one up, but the problem is like I can't travel to Europe. I don't know if I can have visa free with St. Kitts for more than 3 months, so it caused some problems, right? Because I have a lot of family in Europe. So, but for me, my Belgian nationality, I don't feel Belgian anymore. Honestly, I have nothing to do with that country. I don't like the way they're going. So I feel much more aligned with Nevisians and St. Kitts and Nevis. That's all I can say about my passport, right? In the future, I only have one other passport, which is the Belgian one. Will I give that one up at one point? Maybe yes, if I can find a solution for Europe to be able to visit for long periods of time if I wanted to. But for me, that doesn't mean anything anymore.
Stay in Belgium, Olivier. All divisions and petitions, we recognize the importance of our land. But this scheme was conceived 36 months ago. Destiny approval deadline in 36 days. Let us resist these vagabonds who want to deceive our people. That's my...
Yes, my good people, as you can hear, coming from Straight Talk, you know, this matter is not started back, on July 5th at the town hall. This started years ago. I got information some 3 years ago that this conversation been taking place. But they're all now playing games, running around, acting like they don't know what we're talking about. The Prime Minister is well aware and is into this matter. I put that to him. That is my view. You cannot just run across a field and take a ball and run with it and don't know what you're running with. It's like somebody giving you something to drink and you just take it and drink it without checking to see whether it's alcohol or not. Mr. Prime Minister, I don't believe you. I know you enough to know that you're lying to me. You are lying to the people. You're a deceiver. Corrupt deceiver. You want me to prove that you're corrupt? Take me to court. Take me before any court that I can tell you and show you the facts that you're corrupt. What you're doing to this country is called corruption. This is not leading. This is not a leadership. This is a corruption, a big scheme. There are people in prison all over the world for what you're doing to this country, Mr. Prime Minister. The DJ is telling you this. And I'm calling on the people of our beloved Federation to tell you the same thing. Time to go. We gave you fair opportunity. Fair opportunity. And you have let us down. Let's continue to listen to Ian Patches Level.
Our thesis, we titled, conceived 36 months ago, Destiny project approved in 36 days. 36 days, yes, because it's the approval deadline. As Olivier Johnson said, he's not going into the new year discussing this project. He didn't tell us directly, but we have gleaned from his comments that this is a project he was discussing for years. Conceived, like I said, 3 years ago, 36 months ago. Destiny approval deadline in 36 days. He has no intention to go into the new year. Let's take this call and say goodnight to this caller. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Patches. Good evening, man.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah. Good night to the listeners home and abroad. Hey, Patches, this is that email you just read about the DJ Marisha. If he is now a reporter or whatever, I really asked the question to one of my confidants recently, and I really envisioned that. I asked myself and I asked the question, could you imagine DJ Marisha at one of the Prime Minister's round table, asking him some hard questions? And now we have an email coming in saying such. And I think the Prime Minister got a round table tomorrow, right? 1:30, I think.
Yeah, but
I've seen an advertisement somewhere.
I don't think you can walk into his round table sessions, I believe.
Just like that, yes.
He invites,
he's going to screen.
Invites the journalists.
He's going to screen. Yes, I got you. I got you on that. I got you on that. I understand that too. But interesting email.
Yeah, my good people. So the folks are observing, the folks are speaking out. And if you want to know whether or not we're dealing with a corrupt administration or corrupt individuals in this drill-led administration, let's hear from a judge speaking about our current AG.
Maybe Mr. Wilkins should be disclosing what's happened. Maybe Mr. Wilkins should disclose that he had failed to pay Social Security benefits for 15 months on one occasion, on another occasion for 5 months, and another one for about three or 4 months. And all of that is contrary to the law. And it is not a simple matter of just saying, oh, you just pay the fines. Because what you expose yourself to there is criminal action. And isn't this something that should be told to everybody? That if you do not pay your Social Security benefits, you are liable to be prosecuted. You hold yourself up for that possibility.
Yes, my good people. That is a judge giving his opinion, and our sitting AG, that according to the judge, did not pay his nanny dues, Social Security dues, for some 3 occasions. So, like I said, we're dropping a few clips. We're going to be running back and forth, just dropping a few clips. I think we should take this clip across the Narrows. I think this clip we should take across the Narrows here and see what my boy Brantley is saying about the hospital wing on that end.
You spoke about moving up to most attention will focus to the addition to the hospital. So how is that when it comes to when it will be finished, the amount expense it will take to finish it, and when it comes to the readjusting of the inside, and when it comes to material wise, when it comes to machineries, if there are time frame, how much money will it totally takes to operationalize that part of it?
Right. So I think we're still putting numbers together in terms of the full operationalization of the hospital. What I will say is that you're absolutely correct. Last budget, I said that this would be the #1 priority for us this year. That has not materialized. It's unfortunate, but it is sometimes the difficulties that one experiences in government. We hit a financing snag, so to speak. We were trying to arrange some financing on the hospital, and that financing has not yet materialized, or did not materialize in time for us to proceed. So it is still a major commitment that we've made. We have finished one aspect, which was the kitchen. We have a brand new kitchen.
And I want to start this evening discussion looking at our healthcare service. During the last budget presentation, the Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Mark A.G. Brantley, allocated some $12 million towards the completion of the diagnostic wing at the Alexandra Hospital. It is expected that work will reconvene on that wing sometime during 2025. Could you give us any further update as to where we are with regards to the startup of works on that project?
Currently, we have received back a project proposal in terms of completion of the project, with financial information, timeline, etc.
We like facts on this side. As the young people say, we have our receipts.
I hope you could find them receipts when I'm ready for you, because you seem to lose your receipt every time I try to get a chance to come over there and see the things for myself. Now, let's take another jump here to hear Brother Brantley telling us about his geothermal
projects. We are committed to the geothermal project. Incidentally, I can advise that we have now selected a driller for the production wells. I cannot yet disclose who that driller is because there's still some processes that need to be completed, but I can tell you that that bid process and selection process is now at an end. We anticipate, therefore, that the drilling for geothermal will start in the new year. When that starts, we hope to simultaneously go to the market to try to get the financing for the plant construction and the upgrades that will be required to our grid. If all goes as planned, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Nivisions and Kitchens, we will get to a point where this island is the greenest place on planet Earth.
That Nevis is going to be the greenest country by the time it's 2018. Tell us about that.
Well, Nevis discovered about a decade ago that we have geothermal energy. And as a consequence of that, we've embarked on a process to try and develop that energy. We are at a point now where we have a commitment from the developers that we should have geothermal energy and be able to offer that to our residents and businesses by 2018. What that would mean, based on our current consumption and based on projected growth and based on the amount of geothermal energy that's available, it will mean that come 2018, Nevis goes entirely green. And that would make us the greenest place on planet Earth.
And gentlemen.
Yeah, so this is our premier that is speaking to someone in the UK, an interview to let them know that he'll be hitting that switch and Nevis geothermal system will go live by 2017, 2018. We're in 2025 and we're still hearing about procurement of rigs to drill. So let's hear from the Honorable Minister of Works, Thomas Maynard, giving his views and where we are with geothermal.
Prior to this administration, it has always been sketchy about whether the federal government and the Nevis Island administration were working together to bring about the advancement in geothermal that was needed. And given that problem, we decided as a federal government and the national parliament to move a resolution in the National Assembly confirming that the geothermal resource on Nevis will be considered a federal asset in the Nevis Island administration that does not have any sovereignty, is in line with the federal government to then engage international partners for support to establish the geothermal resource.
You spoke about my good people. So that is Congress giving his update on geothermal. The Premier give a different view. But one thing I sure that I understand clear, the Premier made this very clear. And I have heard this from the Deputy Prime Minister when I spoke to him about the situation that was affecting my good friend that disappeared and eventually turned up dead. When I spoke to the AG in the Prime Minister's conference room about the matter of the CBI and the prison project, They told me this. So I want you guys to hear it from the Premier for himself. I didn't have the luxury of recording the AG or to record the Deputy, but the Premier saw it fit to say this live on this podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to advise those who may not have known that it does not matter to me one jot what people say. It doesn't matter. What you have to say about me and your opinion of me, that no matter. You understand? Because when I go home, it is the opinions there that matter to me most. I live by me. You live by you. So you worry about who home by you, whether them like you or not. And I can worry about who home by me.
Well, that is very clear. Where the Premier make it clear that he don't care about what any one of us say. He taking care of his business at home. And who got the man at home? Better look out for the man at home, because the Premier don't care about you and whether you have a man at home. So we're gonna drop another clip here. We're gonna roll the clips. You know, we're definitely gonna roll the clips. You know, we got clips galore. This one is coming from the former Prime Minister, the man himself, Dr. Harris.
Christopher Harbour didn't pay either. And he got off, as it were, you could say literally scot-free, because millions of dollars they owed Social Security. And then we heard the Prime Minister say that he had an arrangement where he got back about 25 million EC dollars from them out of the sale that he facilitated. Worse than not strange. It is really a gross betrayal of public trust and a denial of justice for we the ordinary folks, for whom they use the stiffest penalty. You can't pay Social Security, they want you to go to debtor's jail. How come they didn't put the principles of Christopher Harbour to the same test and the same standard? This wicked government has sold out our country and our people. Social Security, Skelec, National Bank Group. And when you ask your Lord, he's boasted that Christopher Harbour paid $25 million. Not strange. Not strange in the context that Christopher Harbour owed the National Bank Group over US $25 million. Imagine that. One entity, over $25 million. Multiply US by EC, you get over $67 million. And a leader come to us, grinning away like a puppy show. You know, I struck this deal, he said, and I got 25 EC million to share up. What is wrong with that man? No sense of pride, no sense of patriotism, no sense of self-respect. Because a man owes one entity under government control and ownership, albeit the National Bank Groups. And when you look at the figures, they get about $5.5 million, and a man owes you $67 million. If it was a child who had negotiated that, you might have given them some licks. But this is a prime minister who took credit for it. A massive betrayal of public trust. The man owed over 60 million EC. And you take from that man 25 million, and that makes sense to him. Somebody have to get something that we are not told about. That can't be. Not even half. Not even 75%. In fact, you should have gotten all, because you allow him to sell the slips to get millions of dollars and to walk away to the state with our money. The man came in with little money. The man got a loan of 16 million US from the SIDF. 16 million US dollars from the SIDF. That is more than 25 million EC. How could this happen? How could this happen? And he believes that he has done something well, coming with half the story. The man must pay up, and we need full disclosure in relation to that settlement, how much they paid against how much they owe. And we must ensure that the people get every cent that has been owed them. This sweetheart deal will not work. They were put on notice, you know, in the state from which Brother Darby came. There was a court matter involving him and other members of the company. And there was a case for oppression of the minority. The essence of it was that other stakeholders were complaining that he was taking, creaming off the money, as it were, and they were being denied. It was a family member. Ah, you find a sink its word. These things cannot be condoned, and they can't be part of the way forward. Can't be, because it shows always this government is yielding to foreign interests. This government has no self-worth, is insecure, has no self-esteem, because how you could go and negotiate and sign off on these kind of absurd arrangements that benefit no one. The impression you are telling them is that, boy, you could try any trick in St. Kitts. There are no consequences for it. We don't want this kind of a government anymore. In our country, everyone knows jobs are scarce. A reflection that nothing much is happening in our country. The wheels not turning. So many of our young people, Lord, sometimes it is a bit heartbreaking to hear them boast that they have 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and all those high numbers of subjects. And yet they can't get nothing to do. Can't help their mommy or their daddy buy something for the house. Can't get a job so they may contribute to the high price of electricity. While our young people cannot get a decent paying job, the ministers of government, these lazy, incompetent ministers, are being overpaid, and all of them are underperforming. Dr. Drew is the worst performer of all of it. All the ministries he has, they are in problem. The lady chairperson spoke about the situation in health. Calamitous. You heard the report from the PS himself about the state of affairs in the health sector over which he is presiding. He spoke to misdiagnoses. People are dying. People are dying at JNF. And every time someone goes there for you, you feel scared that the systems are not working. The pressure is placed on our nurses. They are overworked and stressed out, doing their best, but the system is not working that allows them to perform as best they can. Right here we have an example of it. Constituent of mine went to them and literally they said, go back. Young man had a stroke. Go drink a cup of tea. You understand?
Yes, my good people. That is the press conference of the PLP, and that's the former Prime Minister giving his views and a lot of stuff. Now, he also had something to say about the SSG, so let's hear what Dr. Harris had to say.
They have also failed to learn the hard lessons of our colonial past and appear willing to specialize in retrogression that introduces neocolonialism into our country, whose ancestors fought so hard to break the shackles of our colonial masters. The Special Sustainable Zone Act has been a colossal betrayal of our people. Hatched in secrecy, as most government activities are, and for the self-interest of those held captive by foreign elements, the act, if allowed to stand, in the face of widespread public condemnation, will certainly be a game changer for present and future generations. That act facilitates our limited lands to be owned and controlled by foreign elements. These elements want to own their own state within a state, exercising power that are, in the view of some, on doubtful legal and constitutional grounds. Our laws, our future, our nation state, and our rights as citizens will be compromised for a mess of pottage. The act is repulsive, repugnant, and retrogressive. We in the PLP therefore support the calls of the public to repeal this ill-conceived aberration of an act that will sell out our people for a mess of pottage, unless it is radically amended, but better yet, repealed in its entirety. We must continue to stand and protest against it. We cannot afford in St. Kitts and Nevis to continue down a path marked by imprudent spending, absence of leadership, and questionable choices. Our people deserve better. Our nation deserves better. And the People's Labour Party commits that it will deliver a better way.
Yes, well, that was Dr. Harris' views on the SSG, sorry. But here is Premier Brandt's response to Dr. Harris.
We know if Timothy Harris paves a sidewalk, he has to have a groundbreaking ceremony and he has to have an opening ceremony for the sidewalk. How come this jail started in the dead of night? In fact, if it wasn't for Sean Richards, I wouldn't even know that the jail had started. But the jail started, so ask yourself, who providing security? Who providing the blocks and the construction? Most importantly, some 5,500 passports, I'm told, are involved. Who's doing the processing? I want people to start to ask these questions. Because when you ask them, you start to say, oh, now I understand why this jail is a priority. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with advancing our people in any way. It has to do with enriching a select few. And that, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is of fundamental importance.
So, my good people, that is Premier Brandt's view on Timothy Harris' jail project, as they call it. Well, that is my view on that SSG Destiny project and Nevis. it is not about the people of Nevis. It is not about Nevis. It is about the bank accounts of these bad actors that wants to fill their bank accounts with the CBI money. And it's really unfortunate that we have to deal with this kind of behavior. I remember some time ago, I think it might have been a press conference that the Premier had on Nevis, where he said that rich people don't thief, they don't commit crime, poor people do. And I think he came up with that idea because so far, a lot of them thief in the open day, sun up bright, and they're stealing millions from us. And we protect them. But let a little mother or father go steal a tin of Vienna sausage to take care of their children. You find yourself over there under the clock, and you find yourself at 1840 for a couple of months, if not years. Now, my good friend here, the man, Brother Chester Hamilton, about 2 Saturdays back, had some comments inside the news. And this is why I say that this Joe-led Labour administration, if you look on it on the face of what it is, their actions appears to be very corrupt. Their actions are corrupt in nature. So let's take a listen to Chesley giving his views on Inside the News, Win FM.
We call into question.
No, I'm going to say something. One is innocent until proven otherwise, meaning
Yes.
proven guilty. We have a situation here in this federation where we have a number of high-level officials within the Jew administration who have been charged and brought before the magistrate court. Well, nobody is saying anything about this. The DPP made certain pronouncements, but this thing is in my view, is not good.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Well, I wasn't aware of this. This is good. This is news to me now.
I mean, during the last 3 years, there have been 2 magistrates charged and brought before the court, whether it's under the integrity in public life legislation or not. You have 2 magistrates charged and brought before the court. And when you see a magistrate name on the voters list, and I mean on the court list, and an offense next to it, I don't even want to call the offense name.
Yeah.
You understand? But the list is a public thing. You can't have those kind of things happening. That's one, right? 2 magistrates. You have a lawyer charged with, among other things, money laundering, corrupting the course of justice, all kind of different things, right? You had another lawyer died with about 5 charges hanging over her head.
Wow.
Right? Well, she wasn't a part of the Jew administration. But then you had 2 permanent secretaries before the court last week, charged again. These are high officials. I mean, a permanent secretary, in the US you call him secretary of this, and in the US you call him secretary of state and secretary of that. In Canada, a PS is a deputy minister. They call them deputy ministers. So when I say high official, I really mean high officials. When this is the sort of thing that is happening, if somebody level a wide sweeping brush against the administration and say the Terrence Jew-led administrations are corrupt administration, they only have to point to those charges.
Wow. Yeah. I see.
They don't need anything more. They say, well, look here, people.
I see
know. So one is innocent until proven otherwise, and I raise that. But if there is a prima facie, a case on the face of it, on the face of the documents, it may not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. It may not be proven to whatever. But could one, based on that, begin to say the accumulating effect is that there is a corrupt administration? Something need to be done. Something need to be said. When you're talking about transparency, you understand? You had an ambassador being suspended for all manner of things that they say happen within the Prime Minister's office. And if these charges are charges that supposed to go before the magistrate, and normally these charges are for the time period on these charges are less than 6 months or less. When more than 6 months done gone, this person is still on leave, not charged with anything. What is going on? So I said all of that in answering the question that in certain other jurisdiction, the person will do the honorable thing, step aside, resign,
That is what
let
was
the
in my
let the
mind.
justice system take its course, right?
Yes, that was in my mind.
In saying it, sometimes some of these people are put on half pay, suspended with half pay, or suspended with full pay. You understand? But it's no consistency. Sometimes the lesser man is asked to go and struggle on half pay, but the high officials is on full pay, or many times they're still on the job, even though they are charged. With consistency, that's what I'm asking for. Remember last week I was using a word called universality. I believe in treating people equitably, fairly. I didn't say equally. Eh? Remember, I didn't say equally. You cannot treat the man with no feet and the man with feet the same way and say you're treating them equally. You have to treat them equitably. So, you won't want the man with feet to walk up the stairs to come here. But the man without feet, you will have to provide a ramp, an elevator, an escalator, something for him to get up to the next level. And that is equitable treatment. I believe in equity. I don't always believe in equality. Sometimes to treat unequals equally is to discriminate. And people must understand that. Let me repeat it. To treat unequals equally is to discriminate. You need to treat.
So, my good people, when we speak about the corruption and the mess, and at the head of that trough is the Prime Minister, all of them got to go. As a matter of fact, I got about just 2 clips to drop before bringing my boy, Brother Benter. So I know Brother Benter is taking his notes. He's very astute when it comes to his presentation. So I look forward to hear what he has to say. But let me take you to a conversation on Freedom FM some weeks back with my cousin dear Dr. Martin, Sam Kanda, and Jamie, speaking about the status of the Labour administration at the moment. Let's take a quick listen.
I think we have a people who are paying attention. Those comments, most of the comments, people are paying attention to the ebb and flow of the political arena, because that's where the leaders, the political leaders, come from. And I firmly believe, and I'm open to be challenged, that the days of the loyal section, the must win, must vote for me, those days are diminishing.
They're gone.
Well,
that's right.
That's right. Well,
The electorate has changed.
I could have argued up until the 1990s that both PAM and Labour had a 40%, 30%, 40% loyal following. I don't see that anymore, and that in the electorate, in the body of the electorate, there is a 60-70% whose vote has to be sought. Notice I didn't say bought. Sought. And so, this both.
The political party gets support when they deserve it.
And I forgot the author of this. Another person
said. We don't know that to be a fact because Trump won.
Well, he won fairly.
we don't know if he deserved it.
Well, he won fairly.
won.
The elections are won and lost by people who show up to vote, and he got his people out.
Elections have consequences.
And so the persons who have this must-win mentality in their head, I wish to have a conversation with them, because I don't accept that there's any must-win anyway. We have to fight.
And the politicians have to do the work.
Have to fight.
They have, and there are no. Well, apart from maybe constituency 6, there are no safe seats in St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, let me not speak for Nevis, but there are no safe seats in St. Kitts anymore.
Yeah, man.
Which one?
6 and
Yeah,
3.
that's what I said. 3?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but 6 maybe.
I think. Well, I'm going to end by saying it's going to be a very, very hot topic when these boundaries change.
Yeah.
The boundaries changing?
When there's boundaries
Well, they have to change.
Well, we join the boundaries.
Yeah. They have
make
to
them
change.
constitutional. I
We are
think
still
all bets are off. We have
Still
a
waiting
new
on
calculus,
that.
and so again, I want to end by saying, we, the people, the electorate, have to insist on the political parties that they put up the best people to run, because we cannot afford idiots in Church Street. And where's the NIA located? And Charlestown. Cannot afford that.
Mr. Kondo, any final words?
Yeah, I think these are really interesting times.
Okay.
And people think, I think people don't give politics and politicians the credit and the admiration and think that is due. I say that this is something that I enjoy doing and will do it again.
You would?
I would do it again.
He has not thrown in the towel, that's what he said.
I will do it. Not now, not that.
No, I understand. I understand.
In a new life.
I don't know what
new
Dr. Martin was trying to do, but I understood what you meant.
That's the thing. And this is an honorable thing. This is a good thing. And people have to learn to differentiate between service to the people and parasites. I mean,
do we have a lot of parasites in politics?
I always saying that the most sacred duty of a citizen is to vote. Without government, life will be nasty, short, and brutish.
But I can.
There's nothing wrong with the politics. It is the people who involved.
I can also understand that sometimes people become disenchanted with politicians, as the person wrote that. The person wrote that all the politicians bad.
Yeah,
no,
all the
right?
politicians.
But people have that notion that a lot of times people enter politics not for the good that they can do for the people, but the good that they can do for themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? So that makes people not really want to go out to vote. So it is the politician's job and the job of conversations such as these to educate people about the importance of making the right decision.
Something, and we're talking about the resignation.
We still speak.
Yeah, so that's the conversation that was taken down from the Freedom Wall that they don't want you to hear, but the DJ has it here, and I'll play it every opportunity I get. But there's even a better conversation here with the Big JL. The Big JL, I don't know what he was smoking that day, but he really went down and let them know how it goes.
Letter that Rudy Val penned and that you shared with us just now. But what I want to share with you in closing is that we are supposed to be a democratic country. When politicians are in opposition, they're all for the people, of the people, by the people, all of that.
To get into government.
There you go. But from the time you get in, you forget the people. At times, it seems to me. And that town halls, which were, before you get into office, you're having meetings here, there, and everywhere, because you want to get elected. But once you're elected, you tend to not want to see so many meetings. Or it doesn't happen anyway. But I think that politicians should give back to the community by having town halls monthly. Whatever you want to share with people, share to them at the town hall, because people will come out to town halls. because they feel a part of the government. I feel that in this case, the SSZ zone should have been special sustainability zone should have been shared with the people before it got to Parliament. I think that something should have been done at that level to involve the people, because you're people's government, you're a democratic government, and this is what democracy is all about: caring for people and sharing with people. That is fundamental. And so I want to urge governments all over the world, including those here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and in opposition, because when you're in opposition, you see everything, but when you get in, you forget. So share with the people at all times. Have your broadcast, but go out and meet the people face to face. Because this is what it is all. This is what governance, good governance, is all about.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm calling on politicians near and far, especially those in St. Kitts and Nevis, all the political parties. All the political parties. If you care for people and you want to get re-elected and you want to be a good, successful politician, care for people by sharing. And so this is what should have been done. It's not too late.
No, never too late. Never too late to consult the people.
Never too late. So that's my contribution with that.
Yeah, Brother Benta, tap your screen, open your mic. Yeah, that is the man, the big JL, giving his views on the SSZ. And I am of the view, I am in support of the big JL. And I'm saying to the Prime Minister, do the right thing. Repeal that act and let's start over. Come and do the consultation, take it back to Nevis, let the Premier do his work. Do not assist the Premier in doing this damage to the people of Nevis. Brother Benta, you've been gone for some time. I know you're busy. So we have the following has really picked up a great deal. So before we get into the conversation, can you please just give a quick synopsis of who the gentleman is on screen?
Sure, and good evening to you and your listening audience again. My name is Oakland Benta, a former Chief of Police of the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix District, a former Senator of the District of St. Croix, a former Vice President of a telecommunication corporation, and many more, and now an Operation Director with the federal government. And it will be great rise to be able to return to your airwave, or the airwave with you, with such a vast listening audience and very, very, very comprehensive people who listens and follows your presentation. It just amazes me to see what it has changed from what it was to what it is today. I hear the term journalist is in order for you. I have my applause to you. And I also, as I've been listening, I am very, very impressed, as you've always heard me say, that the orators of St. Kitts and Nevis are very spectacular. But you know, when you have demagogues and charlatans and spoilers and all these other things that comes into play in fooling your own people, it gives great rise to what's to come. DJ Marisha, I want to thank you for bringing me back into the foliage, because where I'm at today, between you and some others, that has actually pushed me back into a seat now as an operation director with the federal government. An individual who was accused by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts of trying to shake him down for $40 to $100 million by just bringing the bare information of understanding so they can comprehend the things that will follow that's coming if corrections are made. And they made a spectacle, or tried to make a spectacle, and the spectacles granted me a promotion. So, you know, sometimes God is in the midst in many ways, because as you know, the information that we've always brought to this podcast, there's not one thing that we said that has not come to light today. And the others that will follow, as I listen very carefully, very, very carefully, as I look at the individuals who were plaguing certain information to the people where parliamentary procedures were not adhered to, where laws were not followed. And of course, whenever you have a project, for instance, like the SSZ, you must have a referendum for the people to decide what they want. You're not the owners of the property, you're owners of the state or the country. You have been elected by the people of the country to serve on their behalf. In listening, it sounds like everybody now is independent and they do what they want, how they want, when they want, no matter what the people have to say. So tonight, DJ Marisha, yes, I've been missing for a few weeks, and an update for the people who've been following this podcast for some years now. And Mr. Marisha invoking me in coming back into the foliage of conducting investigations. One of the things that has transpired is the questions of how we were able to perceive, having hindsight, the ability to see the future before things became a reality. And for a lot of our own people in the Caribbean diaspora, we somewhat tend to beat our own people, especially those who bring the hard truth. Those who decide to deflect the information because they can, because they are in fact the ears of which the people listen to primarily. For individuals like yourself and I to be able to convince individuals of what we were saying would be so. The CBI became one of the biggest discussions we've had. And discussing the citizen by investment movement, in which I made myself present in St. Kitts to sit and speak with the Prime Minister along with his Attorney General to bring clarity to the fact of the dangers and the issues that arises based on them not conducting proper due diligence, and then they themselves now breaching a contract that they've had with one of the individuals who were also part of the CBI program and should have been granted the authority to do their part, but because they didn't want to play the game of thievery, deceitfulness, they were left in the wilderness because they were not a party or team player. In now understanding even more for where I sit, and understanding more than anything else, as you and I have discussed, a military armada that was in the Caribbean waters way before the people in the Caribbean knew it was happening. We explained the back door of China into the Caribbean, Iran and Russia. We explained Eugenia Charles of Dominica with the invasion of Grenada. We invoked the Maduro of Venezuela issue and what that is going to lead to in the Caribbean. We didn't hide the information. We said that there will be a significant movement of the US military in our Caribbean hemisphere, and that my responsibility in seeing what's happening, if the other ministers of the different OECS countries and CARICOM did not want to listen, was the protection of the US Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as US territories within this geofencing. It was one of those attempts for a join-in to make sure that it doesn't become what it is today. It became a laughable thing. That could never happen. As a matter of fact, I heard your Prime Minister says he sat with the State Department and then he had a better seat in the State Department than I did and could come and speak to the people of St. Kitts and said, well, we don't mind what this guy have to say because I sat with the State Department and this is what we decided. As a foreign nation, you have a say in the US State office and a decision of this where the safety and the concern of the safety of US citizens are now at stake. For those who are listening, it has been defined and understood over the years, China has been sending parts and pieces of devices through the Caribbean region. And a lot of it has come through the OECS countries. These parts and pieces then placed together and many shipped to Venezuela. Short range attempt to assault the United States. And in explaining to the Prime Minister, DJ Marisha, while we sat there, and tried to bring some common sense, a cohesive relationship to the country, which was being looked at as having to have the US embassy, which is St. Kitts. And to make sure that we mature this endeavor as partnership. Many would say China has done a lot for the Caribbean. There's no doubt that I would have said it didn't as far as financing. I would say the US has not. The US has not because the ministers refuse this, or they refuse to provide proper due diligence on any funds that the US would appropriate to assist the country. In other words, conducts audits and provide the data for the use of those funds. Not like what's going on today, that they're using funds at will and have no reason to report to anyone, nor is there a recourse that the citizens can take to make sure they are justified in what they're saying. with this military armada in the Caribbean right now, that has pretty much, as a result of Prime Minister Drew and his attack on me, won, right? One of the issues. And when they said that the agencies, the federal government decided that's enough, because you sent a mediator in to try to bring rhyme and reason to issues, and this is what came out of it. To my surprise, as you know, it was a handshake between the Prime Minister Drew, myself, and the Attorney General based on what was presented. Several weeks later, it became a thing that I tried to shake him down with his chief law enforcement, was the Attorney General, in an office. And I walked out without being arrested. I walked out without being charged. I left the country without being detained for trying to do something as heinous as shakedown, fraud against the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. And now, today, and the hardcore reasoning of information that I'm bringing tonight, that the President-in-waiting, Mr. Edmundo Gonzalez, and his Vice President, Maria Corina Machado, they will sit as President and Vice President of Venezuela in short order. And I'm saying that tonight because all that's taking place with the CBI program, many think that it had gone to sleep. The most severe is being dealt with, but the backtrack, once this is done, is the hard blow to the OECS. You see, while they're running around the world and think that they're fooling people, there are things that are already in place. But we're now, and the Caribbean now, is in a war zone. And that's something that I don't think many people really understand. It takes one mistake, and the whole thing has gone into full scale. I've heard many of the prime ministers as they're speaking, and yes, you are the prime minister of your country, but the United States is going to protect its shores as well. And while we try to be the friend, rather than shutting your mouth, you create the aspersions of that we are going to join in and fight against the United States of America. And that's what's on the table today. And that is what's being looked at. And that is what's being evaluated. See, I am not an orator, but I'm a damn good investigator. And while things are moving as consistent as it is based on what has been explained to the nation and to the people of the Caribbean islands and the OECS, and also on your podcast for the good citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, I then also have to now interject that most of what's taking place, not all, and the deception of the country in the eyes of the United States is done by its leaders and not by the people, the citizens, or the hardworking citizens on the ground trying to make a healthy living and make a healthy household for their family. It is the elected officials. And the cause for that, and you said it very clearly, it's about money. There's no importance of human being being dignified in your country, nor the diaspora remaining as cognizant and upstanding that it has been to forefathers going back some generations before. We have lost that essence of flavor to grow. And I want to take this time, there's over 25% of the US Navy warships within the Caribbean, thanks to our prime ministers. And with that, more so because of what's said and then what's presented, that the safety of all, not just the US Virgin Islands, but of all now, understanding that the people, the citizens don't have anything to do with it. And I say, your show, Mr. Patches and some of those other podcasters out there, and the people who are speaking up and out have resonated in the ears of many. And it enabled me to push those very programs into settings of meetings of discussion, and I'm clear to speak on these things, that they can hear, well, this is not the commonality or the feelings, the direction beared by the people of the country. This is the people speaking out against what's taking place. This is not the people saying we are going up against the United States. These are the people denouncing the action by the leaders. And it took some serious convincing, and the hail of your podcast and Patches and the others in different islands really emboldened for many who sat at the round table, and we sat at round tables, right? To explain and understand and to diffuse where this thing was going. You see, DJ, when you have individuals like the Secretary of State the Secretary of Defense, DOD. Then you have the Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. And then, of course, you have the Admiral, Daryl Cardle, who's the individuals who are controlling this region very heavily with the United States Marine and what's taking place. It was a hard sell for me to even have them dock in the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas and St. Croix. Over the years, the Navy, almost some 30 plus years, has stopped traveling to the U.S. Virgin Islands, where soldiers were not allowed shore leaves in the U.S. Virgin Islands, rather that they go to the Dominican Republic or someplace else because of violence, of course, in the past years. It took clear deliberation of presentation and convincing for them not only to look at and shore the soldiers on the island of St. Croix and St. Thomas, and to guarantee all of the attributes of safety, reasonable safety, because human beings make mistakes, they do things, young men, young women. But they're back in the Virgin Islands again, with over some 30 years of not paying homage or shore leave as a U.S. carrier. And that came from here. And I'm not patting myself on my back, but over the years, the things that we've been saying and trying to educate the people on has brought semblance to order and understanding. Is the Navy in the Caribbean to try to destroy the Caribbean or the U.S. military period? No. It is now an allegiance with people like you, Patches, and some of those in St. Kitts and Dominica and those other places and St. Lucia that are speaking out, that gave the rise for them to now say, hey, we have to protect the citizens. But there's no protection for your leaders. They still provide governance. They're still doing what they're doing. But as soon as Venezuela is over, it is back to business as far as what's required. See, the interception of what has taken place with information that is now within our hands that we're looking at, with all these bank accounts that has now been proven to be facts of what these guys have been doing, there's no out. There's only one way this is going to go. And I know that they're listening. And my word of advice to those, because they haven't listened to one yet, but my word of advice to those, when you have the OAS, the Organization of American States, the European Nation, the Human Rights Watch, who have been watching all of these things take place, where in the Caribbean, dealing with Venezuela, just about every Caribbean island abstained from a vote when it came to what you call due process and fair elections. No one voted from the Caribbean, primarily. Everyone abstained. It took the other American Organization of American States to step in and say something. Now, there's a lot to be said now that America is in the water, and this whole hemisphere of at the moment, this began under the Biden administration, just enforced by the Trump administration. And as things, because when it was in case, it was under Biden administration. And things are moving forward heavily and fast. President Trump won the election later on. Of course, we have what we have. I would say to the people, though, continue to be brave. Don't let no one place asunder on your thunder, your voice, and your aptitude takes this to the higher level of understanding about those individuals who you think are not listening to you. As you continue to expose the wrongs and you expose what is necessary or what needs to be done, it brings great credibility to your country based on those who are making these presentations. Some says that people are trying to come through the back door by running and trying to get into an office, but the back door has already been breached. The same back door that they have allowed individuals to come into themselves, and they themselves being part of the homage of patriotism for those people who have let through the back doors. How do you blame someone who's not in office yet? And the start of what we will begin to see now that we're back within the U.S. waters. I want to thank the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Kamala Prasad Bissar. She has been an icon in the Caribbean, and I think we had a shuffle as I spent some time in Trinidad and in Guyana, and some of the things that we were working out before it got to this. And this is how far back it goes, right? Before any movement, DJ Marisha, I mean, I was gone before anything began. And the idea behind what is now being presented in the world, how it's being looked at, many will say, oh, well, you know, they're blowing up fishermen, boats of fishermen and so forth. What people don't know is before an engagement, there are several warnings issued by the both Coast Guard, who's a part of this joint operation, U.S. Coast Guard, and the military, in different language. Stop your engine, shut it down. All of the warnings that can be applied has been attributed before engagement. The war on drugs in the Caribbean is real. The defense forces of the countries, by whom many have been trained by the United States, the U.S. Coast Guard as well, and understanding or trying to comprehend whether or not the OECS countries are separating themselves from the Treaty of the United States when it comes to engagement. Prime Ministers, take heed in your words and your language. If it is that you are in fact being a double-edged sword, and you call that sort of behavior when you speak with two tongues, it sends a message based on action that there's no way under this whole hemisphere that that's going to happen. To those men and women who serve in the defense forces of the nation, where there's a plan and it's just so magnificent that they think and they would think that it's going to work this way. There's some 44 plus million people within the OECS and CARICOM. The discussion today by many who are paying homage to some areas in Africa and some areas in Russia, that the formulating a military organization, joining your defense force and recruiting members into a organization to be what you call an army rather than a defense force, of invoking 10,000 young men and women, then you have an army. Nothing wrong with being prepared to defend yourselves. But the language that's being exposed through different segments in the world that these prime ministers are sitting and talking to on a plan, don't plan a plan that you yourself don't even understand that others are planning for you to attack the United States. That's not going to work. Some may not like what's being said here tonight, but at the same time, can we in fact, as a Caribbean nation, place our people in harm's way because of money? You see, these accounts that they have in Nigeria and Dubai and Libya and those other places, you don't think that they're not known. But the fact is, what would you sacrifice just to keep a penny for yourself, and what will happen to your people? The pot thickens, as has been explained by Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. Over a period of time, those things have not gone to sleep with the doctors from Cuba. And those doctors are hardworking men and women. But a lot of people don't really know that they also have families who cannot leave Cuba, that these people are held because Guyasa, which is a company they work for, and the government of Cuba with Venezuela, that these OECS countries have been financing for weapons to be made in preparation to go up against the United States. And that is why the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has been explaining there's nothing wrong with the doctors working in the Caribbean islands, but it is who the Caribbean islands are paying for the doctor services in the Caribbean islands. And the company name is Guyasa. And Guyasa is a Chinese company. And Guyasa, along with Venezuela and some others, their contingency plan, like I said earlier, with sending devices into these islands and they send to assemble close to the United States. Those days are done. Along and around just about every U.S. base in the United States, the farmlands around those bases are owned by China. I'm saying this is going to be public knowledge pretty soon. There's nothing that's confidential here, but it's being worked on. And on those farms, what was discovered, you heard a part about the drones over the military bases, and then, of course, the tunnels that are being dug. People of the Caribbean, we have a strong decision to make. And leadership comes with a lot of great ability to be able to protect those of whom they serve. But it also comes with a negative if you're self-serving and other issues that may endanger your own constituents is not adhered to or paid attention to just for the mighty dollar that makes you dress better, travel more, stay in the most expensive hotels, and have red carpet treatment when you travel to different countries. What carpet do you provide to your people when they come to your office, your bosses? And what sort of service you provide to them when they demand you addressing issues that affects them? What is your response to that? You have sat in positions and applied yourself to serve other countries. You serve in other countries, but not your people. And not that the United States of America is going to pledge war in the Caribbean, but the Caribbean leaders are placing themselves in a position to pledge war against the United States. So, and I've been talking for a little bit. I don't know if you have any questions, but this is going to be an interesting evening with us this evening for sure.
Well, the funny thing is I am looking at the time and I said, well, we are already on overtime, but we are already on overtime. Yeah, we could do it next week, but we started a bit late, as you know, had some technical issues there.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, there's so much to discuss. And as you're speaking, I am kind of reflecting because there's a lot happening on St. which I need to report to you as well. And, you know, I always tell you, I don't like to get into a conversation that I cannot finish. So some months back, earlier in the year, I think you might have been on with me during that time as well. The Prime Minister was giving an update on their war on crime. And I remembered he made a statement that it was 6 months at the time that there was not any homicide in the country. And within a matter of days, I think it was, days or weeks, but it was a very quick time. One of his lineman partners actually was accused or turned himself in that he took the life of a nurse. And that was the first break in that long stint of no homicide. Well, yesterday again, the Prime Minister at his round table went into a conversation where he's referring to the speed cameras that they are testing, illegal as they may. And I don't want to touch that this evening because I have to give some updates on that. Testing the speed cameras, I'm in support of it. Trying to deter the speeding on the road, I am in favor of it. But when you're going to issue tickets that are done basically the wrong way, no infrastructure in the proper signage and proper consultation to the general public, and you're just going to go out and give tickets. And I understand the arrangement is between some private citizen and the government for a split. Private citizens should not be making monies from this kind of stuff. They should be wholesome in terms of a government entity. But while he bragging last night that there was no road casualties in the past month, just last night, a couple hours later, there was one not too far from me here in the Tabernacle area where a gentleman lost his life from a road casualty. So there's a lot happening here, a whole lot happening. And because I know you've been busy, I give you the time to do what you're doing. And folks been asking for you, so I can say to you, you got some serious fans in St. Kitts locally here in the region and in the diaspora that appreciate you coming and presenting the information. So we cannot do it this evening. It's already after 6 here in St. Kitts local time. So I would allow you to give your closing, and we'll hold off on that conversation until next week, if you don't mind.
And I thank you. And again, I want to thank the DJ here, along with the members of St. Kitts and Nevis. You don't realize your comments also elevated my push or my promotion into certain directions. Coming back from Africa, back to Trinidad, back to Guyana, and of course into Puerto Rico, where DOD, the Department of Defense, has an operation there, and of course a headquarters in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. In all of the other stuff that's taking place throughout the world, I am trying to home in so that I stay within this hemisphere, because I can't do everything. But the concern, because I know what's coming, I've asked that the concentration as far as my assignments be here in the Caribbean, specifically because I know what's coming later. I want to thank the DJ. I want to thank all of you who are online this evening who are listening, and I know that I gave a somewhat of overview in a fast way, but I want you to pay attention to the information. Not look at the messenger, listen to the information, and then go back and look at all of what we've said in the past, and to see that every single thing that we've explained to every single one of you as honest as we can has been the truth and nothing but the truth. And the truth will always set you free, because now I am an operation director. And that is not easy to come by. It puts a semblance of understanding and trust, a trust that goes and elevates way beyond any prime minister in the Caribbean can ever hold. As a native Virgin Islander, as a born Antiguan, and family members of the St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and Dominica, I am proud to be able to say I can speak within this diaspora to our people, and that our people are listening. Your show is one, Patch is the next one, the St. Lucia show, the Dominica, the people are listening and they're really joining in and giving clear understanding that it is not a one voice issue, it is all. So I wish everyone, I guess for some it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, but I want to pay homage to all of my Caribbean descendants and family and friends, and say to you, please use your own intellect, not those that becomes infrared that others use against you. And those words that they would use against you has definitely invoked other things, interlocutors, in other words, two-faced it. Don't let it happen. Be smart, be wise, use Google, because today's world today, you could Google anything and get the right information immediately and a dime. God bless you, DJ Marisha.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I also know that there's some upcoming trials in the Virgin Islands, former ministers of government and former assistant chief of police and whoever have been charged. So I think in the next couple of days, you're going to be having some trials with that. I also look forward to some updates on that. I know there is some issues on the Tartola end with the chief of police there. I know you have your hands on that as well. So I look forward to get some input on that. And like I said, if we're going to get into that right now, we're going to take us into a 4-hour show. It's not going to happen. And I want to take the opportunity to wish happy Thanksgiving to the folks out there. I also want to send condolences to the folks that have folks that pass away. Too many to mention, but I must mention my icon there, the man Jimmy Cliff. I was shocked to hear that of his passing. I even wanted to drop a few of his tracks this evening in tribute. I would not be able to do that. Hopefully next week I can do that. But I will drop my ad with Sister Carmen and the man Carbo before we drop our unofficial anthem of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis and get out of here. So could you please stand by?
Girl, Sandra, you know where you can find nice, fresh local food 7 days a week, one provision and all kind of thing. Girl, where? Right down there by Shellings, by Carmen Catering Services. Girl, she opposite the bus stop. Girl, and she also cater for weddings, parties, anything you want to cater for, funeral and all. Girl, and trust me, you're gonna enjoy the food. And she also selling bites and Sundays. Opposite the car shop, right down the main road. Girl, you could call 665-1494 or 663-6005 to order your food or go and pick up your food. Girl, the food will be finger licking and you get your money worth. You ain't want nothing better than that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Carmen Catering Services will be having a raffle. Each time you come to buy your lunch, you just write your name and number and throw it in the box. Yes, first prize will be a $500 food voucher. Second prize will be a VIP ticket for the Geothermal function having December the 27th. And third prize will be a grounds ticket also from the Geothermal. And we'll be having a Miss Phenomenal ticket giveaway. And 1 week free lunch from Carmen Catering Services. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please come out, buy your lunch, throw your name in the box. You have to be in it to win it.
Yes, that's Sister Carmen there giving you her updates. Now let's take a quick listen to my boy Carbo. Carbo's over there Fountain Nevis.
Cabos, located at Fountain Village in Nevis, is the go-to spot for your Saturday treats. Tantalize your taste buds with his delectable Cabos Delicacy Goat Water. Or, if you prefer some soul food, then Cabos Fungi and Fish is definitely the way to go. Call ahead and reserve at 869-663-9694. Then make your way over to Cabos and enjoy the vibrant atmosphere while you savor your delicacy. Cabos, we are not changing, we are only improving.
Food all over, food all over, you got the food all over.
Yes, that's the man Cabo food all over. Brother, Benta, stop your screen, open your mic. Two other things I needed to run by you before we close out. I want to big up a gentleman there, father and son in Nevis. I don't know if you ever heard about the Gaskels, but when you come back to the Federation, I have to introduce you to that, to those gentlemen. Brother Charles Gaskell has been very instrumental in educating the folks on this SSZ matter in Nevis. His father as well has written several postings. But Charles and I became brother from another mother over the last couple of months because of the situation. Brother Banky brought him down on the 26th of September, and since then we have stayed in touch. What I found out is that Brother Charles is a licensed fisherman just as I am, and loved the fishing business and has been out there doing a lot in the fishing business. I also found out that over the past years, he has won the Wahoo fishing tournament here in the Federation. I was impressed this past Saturday. I made a joke with him on Friday during the match because he came down, made a speech, and had to rush back to Nevis to organize himself for the tournament. So I said to him, well, I have to get one of those Wahoos that you catch tomorrow. But it was just to me in jest. And I made my way down to Old Road to give my support to the fishermen and the fisher folks. And when I got there, there was about to go into way. The Wahoos, partner, I never seen Wahoos that big. For the size of Mr. Gaskell and the size of those fish, the fish, they're taller than him, they're bigger than him, they're heavier than him. And then he offered me one of the Wahoos, asked me if I have a bag. I tell him, no, I don't have a bag. He said, well, you need to get a bag because I have a Wahoo for you. So I had to go and get a couple of garbage bags because the fish that he's given to me is almost as tall as me as well.
Oh boy.
So when the fish was weighed, I remember it being, I'm not sure if it's 47 pounds or 37 pounds, but I know it was some 7. I went to the Chinese supermarket around the corner, got some cardboard box and garbage bag that I can put it in my vehicle. When I got home, I made sure I measured the fish. It was exactly 50 inches long. Hey, partner, I have seen them putting all kind of fillet fish in the supermarket and charging all kind of money. Didn't realize it's these fellas that they slice up and sell for all that money. So I called my partner, Mr. Bennett. I said, partner, I have a Wahoo here. I have never cleaned a Wahoo, never got a fish that big. How do I clean it? He said, man, just cut out the belly and slice it up. But I said, no, I'm going to do better than that. I scrape what in there and give it a proper cleaning and had it well sliced up. So I want to take the opportunity to thank Charles Gaskell for his contribution of that Wahoo to the DJ. And I also want to congratulate him on winning another championship for the Wahoo tournament last Saturday. I know you're going to do your homework on the Gaskells. So I will give you the opportunity next week to meet Charles in person once he's available. I'm going to invite him to come and speak with us as the champion of the fishing tournament next week. And I'm pretty sure he can give us a couple of updates and the SSC. I also want to remind the people in the region that on December 1st is the election of St. Lucia. That election could turn a lot of things around for the Caribbean and the world in general. Because the opposition leader now that is running for Prime Minister, I think his name is Chastity. He's running, and he has stated publicly that if he wins his office as Prime Minister, he will recover all the fraud money of the CBI from Caribbean Galaxy, and he's going to take them to task. So I am one of those champions who want to fight out corruption in our little islands. So I don't know when I say I don't know, I don't have any background on either of the gentlemen, but anyone that's going to come publicly and want to deal with this CBI matter, I know it's affecting us in our beloved federation. This SSZ is also part of that. So I am praying that the people of St. Lucia will give this gentleman a chance. It's on the election is on the 1st of December. As a matter of fact, I'll try to see if I can squeeze him in to have a quick chat with him before the election. And as a matter of fact, it might be impossible because Monday is the 1st of December. So Monday is actually the election, and I am going to be traveling on the weekend. So, but I wish him well. So now if you want to touch anything on that before I drop my unofficial anthem.
The Prime Minister of St. Kitts, well, the ex-Prime Minister, he's a minister now, Chastity, along with Rob Gonzalez, and of course I mentioned Kamala Bissar. They have been one of those instruments that understand how important the CBA program is, and more so Rob Gonzalez and now Mr. Chastity. During his administration, there has been some issues, but that's been worked out when he came forward and started to move forward with correcting some of those things. But the way forward, any leaders who wants to make sure that the program remains alive, but is done the right way, the right due diligence is done, and you call it clawback all those funds that are missing and however the bank accounts are in, but get the dividends to the people of the country and get the development, economic developments that's required based on why the program was created. They have our support, they have my support. So I'm glad to hear that he's made that public as well. And there's a few others who they straddle in the fence, but there's no other recourse because I think there'll be new governments in office pretty soon for some of those other countries as well that means to do the right thing. And of course, world peace as far as getting out of being a shadow of a stigma in a wartime, nobody in the Caribbean needs that. But so I look forward to sitting with Mr. Chastity as well as Charles, and congratulations to him on his catch and his awards and prizes. And I'd like to know how he put a fish in the boat, but I'll leave that for next day.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain that to me, because when I say big fish, I'm talking about some serious lengths and weights. So we're gonna drop the unofficial anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis. I know my cousin Kent and St. Thomas, Kent Bernier, Pam, this is his favorite song, and I know it's your song as well. So
that's right.
Welcome back to the DJ Maurice experience.
Thank you.
And it's gonna be nice next week when you come back, right? I apologize that we have to run a bit early. The King Arrow.
our lives, analyze. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Would you assist building a wall so massive or a bridge? Don't care how small, as one tends to divide our people, the other unite us all. Unambitious men just cannot be a part of this community. Displaying selfishness, a total lack of interest. No, I said no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives, analyze. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Can your conscience be clear? Indulging corruption or misusing public office, being accused of unemployment and crimes, or disrupting a citizen's peace. Oh, my country in this harmony, separated politically. Hatred for a brother, cannot love each other. No, I say no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives, analyze. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. So rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Yes, my good people, that's the sound of the late great King Arrow. This country is yours, all yours. We have come to the end of yet another successful podcast for today, Wednesday, 26 November 2025. Look forward to seeing you next week. Same place, same time. Love and respect to all.